So I just want to go in a little more detail about why we are in the cloud, why we're using Dalet, and what we're getting out of it. And the first thing is, I don't want to be in the hardware business. I didn't want to invest all that capital in the infrastructure when I wasn't sure exactly how much I needed. For starters, I need to be scalable. So being in the cloud and using Dalet XN actually enables us to scale and be very flexible, and it lowers considerably our startup costs. 100% cloud-based, extremely robust, flexible. So if we need to add something, a specific field for our metadata, or change a workflow, we can do that. Scalable. Streamlining our workflow is essential because what we're doing is deceptively simple with a lot of complexity behind it. There's actually craft editing going on. Then we have an integrated dashboard, our customized dashboard, which sits on top of this. I'll just briefly go into what a basic workflow is. Starting with our dashboard, contributors will upload through our upload wizard. They'll add some basic metadata. That goes into S3 and becomes visible in Dalet. So we have S3 here, we have EBS, there's even Glacier involved, and this is all powered in EC2. So as the curators are looking at footage, the footage comes in, they're looking at it, they're curating it. If we need to do something, like clip it, it goes into Dalet Extend in Adobe Premiere. And it's really, really important that the genealogy of that metadata from when it's uploaded actually follows through. So as we're curating it, then we edit it, then we export these clips, and the genealogy follows it through to finally we add the keywords, the titles, and the descriptions. And the files end up in an S3 bucket, and then they go to our distributors for sale and distribution. So as I said, we built a dashboard that rests on top of this. And this is our, it's contributor facing. So there's an upload wizard here. They get some aggregated sales and data and analytics. We can actually show them which distributors their clips are going to. We have something called the variety matrix, which kind of shows where they're overweighted, underweighted in the 30 different categories of stock footage. And we can actually accept footage across the globe. So we have international contributors who are uploading through our upload wizard and sending it to Dalet XN for curation and clipping and processing. There's also diverse metadata. So each distributor, each stock footage distributor actually has a completely different set of metadata that they require. And that could be as simple as a title, and some have title and format. And then others have title, not format, but camera move. Some want title plus the location. So we basically had to build this complex matrix to aggregate all this metadata. So we only have to touch the clip once. That includes actually processing it, but also adding the tags and the metadata. And we are accepting 4K and above through this dashboard. So you've seen this before, that there's full integration through Extend into Adobe Premiere. And as I said, the genealogy of the metadata follows throughout the whole workflow until it actually gets distributed, and then from the distributors reported back to our contributors through our dashboard. So this is basically what we do. We can take any video asset, we curate it, we identify the value moments, whatever that means, based on the predefined guidelines. We can tag it once for multiple purposes, and then we can monetize it as stock footage. And something interesting has happened along the way in the past year. When I go into these companies that have a ton of content, and I say, how would you like to create a new stream of revenue from your existing assets? And I'm talking about the stock footage. It's not controversial. It's the stock footage. It's just sitting there. It's a no-brainer. People say, okay, where do I sign up? And I say, well, okay, you know, where is your footage? And that starts a conversation talking about, well, we're sitting on these vast archives. We have minimal metadata, minimal transparency. The assets themselves may be all over the place. And as a matter of fact, you know, we would like to have our content cataloged and sent back to us for our own internal uses and workflows. So I tried to get the ugliest picture I could find here, but I think we're all familiar with this. I mean, we all know one version of this. And in fact, I've seen from our customers, you know, one of these boxes completely moldy, the top is off, and it's under a leaky pipe in a warehouse someplace. It's not a cool, dry place by any stretch. And I'm not just talking about tapes here, I'm talking about hard drives. And of course, as we know, footage is all over the place. Some of it's on tapes, some of it's on LTO, some of it's in the cloud, some of it's on their, you know, the local servers. So the question is, so where is your footage and how do we get to that? And that has opened up this new opportunity for Clippn, which is a service, which is essentially cataloging, we call it mining and refining your existing archives. So there are basically three scenarios of how we work with content creators and content owners. The first one is, if you have contributors in the field, so let's say a broadcaster, and they've got DSLR shooters out in the field, we can actually offer our dashboard, customized dashboard, custom skinned to them with customized fields so that their shooters can actually upload to us. Well, what do? We curate it, we clip it, we process it to their specifications, and then we send it to them. And we can do it very efficiently. The second scenario is the archive that I was just talking about. We can actually go in, catalog that, curate, clip it if needed, tag it, and send it back to you for your own internal uses. And this is pretty much where we started this, which is, as we're doing that, one of the two, we can actually curate that footage based on the guidelines for multiple distributors, and we can send it to the stock footage market and monetize it that way. And the opportunity here really is, you know, as I'm having these conversations, how are people doing this now? Well, either A, they're not doing it. They're thinking about, you know, their infrastructure is kind of at the end of life cycle, and they're thinking about going into the cloud. So they've got to catalog this. They've got to decide, are we going to keep this footage? Do we want more transparency or not? We have to move it. And the way that they're doing it now is, you know, editors, a few hours, sometimes interns, things like that. So basically we offer an alternative that's much more efficient, boosts the yield, and it actually gives you a way to monetize that content and use it yourself. And that's it. Thank you.